All right, so welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be looking at Delinea's EndPoint Desktop Management Privilege Manager
Mm-hmm.
and how it helps boost cybersecurity.
Okay.
And we've got some articles, some YouTube videos, even from a tech expert named Bert Blevins.
Yeah.
And by the end of this, you'll understand not only how Delinea works, but get why it matters so much in today's cyber world.
Well, I think what's really interesting about Delinea is that it tackles a problem that's been around for a long time,
Okay.
which is overprivileged users.
Mm-hmm.
For years, we've been giving users broad admin rights, essentially
Ah.
giving them the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
Delinea flips that on its head,
Okay.
and instead of elevating the user, it elevates the application.
So instead of giving them access to everything, it's more like a key to a specific room.
Exactly.
How is that better for security?
Well, because it limits the potential damage.
Okay.
Let's say a hacker gets into a user account.
Mm-hmm.
In a traditional setup, they have free reign over the entire system.
Yeah.
But with Delinea, they're restricted to just those elevated applications.
Right.
It's this core principle of least privilege.
Okay.
You give them access to only what's absolutely necessary,
Yeah.
and that reduces the attack surface and the risk of widespread compromise.
Makes sense. The less access, the less damage. Right.
That's right.
But how do you balance that with,
Yeah.
legitimate users who sometimes need those privileges?
Right. Well, that's where just-in-time permissions come in,
Okay.
or JIT.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like granting temporary access passes.
Okay.
So let's say a user needs admin rights to install software,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't need it all the time.
Right.
JIT gives them those privileges when they need it for a limited time.
Okay, so it's like a time-limited key card
Exactly.
that gives you access, and then it revokes it.
Precisely.
And done.
It minimizes the window of vulnerability.
I see how that would be more secure. And interestingly enough, Bert Blevins, who we mentioned earlier, actually has a whole YouTube video that dives into JIT permissions.
Oh, nice. And he calls himself like a tech entrepreneur and educator, seems to know his stuff.
He's a great resource.
Yeah.
But the important thing to understand is that JIT isn't just about convenience.
Right.
It's really a powerful security mechanism.
Right.
Even if a hacker gets initial access,
Mm-hmm.
JIT prevents them from having prolonged admin rights,
Right.
which makes it much harder to exploit vulnerabilities and move laterally within a system.
So it's not just convenience, it's closing a security gap
That's exactly right.
that attackers often exploit.
Uh-huh.
And it seems like Delinea has thought of everything, because they also had this feature called Unlimited Admin Mode.
Yes.
Blevins actually has a video on that one, too.
He does. It's an
Just-
interesting feature.
Yeah.
It allows for comprehensive administrative capabilities
Okay.
without compromising security.
Wow.
It's designed to give IT teams the control they need,
Right.
but still adhere to least privilege. It's pretty impressive that they can offer those kinds of features and still have security be such a priority.
Absolutely.
But managing all those permissions and accounts, that can be a real headache.
It can be.
That's where automation comes in,
Yeah.
right?
And Delinea excels at this.
Okay.
They take the burden off IT teams
Okay.
by automating a lot of these tasks,
Like what?
like password rotation and credential management.
Okay.
Think about how many password-related breaches we hear about
All the time.
constantly, right?
Yeah.
Automating that significantly reduces risk.
Right.
It also frees up IT staff from a lot of those manual chores.
Yeah. And they can focus on more strategic initiatives.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win.
It is.
Fewer help desk tickets, IT can focus on other stuff.
Exactly.
But with all this automation,
Yeah.
is there a trade-off in terms of control and flexibility?
Not at all.
Okay.
Delinea strikes a good balance between automation and control.
Okay.
Administrators can define and enforce flexible policies. They can control exactly which applications run with elevated privileges.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all
Yeah.
approach.
Not at all.
You can customize it.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm liking what I'm hearing so far.
Good.
Security, automation, flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
But what about visibility
Yeah.
into what's happening on those endpoints? How does Delinea handle that?
Well, that's where session monitoring comes in.
Right.
It provides continuous visibility over all these privileged operations
Okay.
through real-time monitoring and auditing.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like a security camera for privileged activities.
Oh, okay.
It allows security teams to detect and mitigate suspicious activity.
Right, before it escalates.
Exactly.
That's crucial these days
It is.
when cyber attacks are so sophisticated.
Absolutely.
But it's not just about catching the bad guys.
Right.
What about compliance?
Compliance is huge.
Yeah.
And Delinea helps with that too.
Yeah.
We live in a world of GDPR, HIP, PCI, DSS,
Right.
all these regulations, they mandate strict controls over sensitive data.
Right.
And Delinea's detailed audit logs and session recordings are essential for forensic analysis and compliance reporting.
Okay.
It helps organizations meet those requirements and avoid, those big fines.
Yeah, those are not fun.
Or reputational damage.
You're right.
Which can be even worse.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like Delinea is a real asset for organizations trying to navigate compliance.
It is.
But it's not just about managing desktops in an office anymore, is it?
No.
We've got remote workers, contractors, BYOD.
Right.
How does Delinea handle that?
Well, the way we work has changed, right?
Yeah.
And security solutions need to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, Delinea supports remote and non-domain endpoints.
Okay.
So it ensures consistent security across all devices.
Even if they're not connected to the network.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So it's like extending that security umbrella
That's a good way to put it.
to cover those devices that are outside the perimeter.
Yeah. So we've covered a lot. Limiting access, JIT permissions, automation, granular control, session monitoring, compliance, support for diverse environments.
It's a lot.
It is. But before we move on, there's one more feature I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
Child process control.
Ah, yes.
Now, this one kind of gets overlooked sometimes.
It does.
But it's really important for
Is it?
blocking a common attack vector.
Uh-huh.
You see, malware often uses these child processes. They're
Yeah.
kind of like offshoots of the main program to carry out malicious activities.
Right.
It's a way for them to kind of operate under the radar.
That's right.
So it's like a Trojan horse
Exactly.
sneaking in that malicious code disguised as something harmless.
Precisely.
So what Delinea does is it allows administrators to actually prohibit those child processes from running.
Exactly. It adds another layer of defense, preventing those unauthorized applications from running.
I'm sensing a theme here.
What's that?
Delinea, powerful security, but user-friendly.
Yes. Absolutely.
It's robust, but it's intuitive.
They've designed it with both security and usability in mind.
Okay.
The setup is wizard-driven.
Okay.
The interface is intuitive. It streamlines implementation.
Okay.
Saves time. Saves money.
Yeah.
It's about providing a seamless experience for IT administrators and end users.
Okay, so we've got a good grasp on how Delinea works, the security features it offers. But how do you actually go about integrating all of this into an organization's existing setup? What are some of the best practices for implementing TAM?
So that's a great question, and it's a crucial step.
Okay.
You can't just deploy Delinea and expect it to solve all your problems.
Right.
It takes a strategic approach. Careful planning.
Okay.
The first step is to conduct a thorough risk assessment.
So you're figuring out where the vulnerabilities are.
Exactly.
Okay.
You got to identify your organization's weaknesses and prioritize protection efforts based on how critical the systems are.
Okay.
The applications, the data.
So you're taking inventory of your most valuable assets.
Yeah.
And figuring out where to reinforce the defenses.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What comes after the risk assessment?
So once you have a clear picture of your risks, you can start defining and enforcing policies for things like session recording, password rotation, access expiration, and, of course, least privilege. Automation is key here. Make sure there's consistent compliance and to reduce the burden on IT teams.
So you're setting the ground rules.
Yes.
And making sure everyone follows them.
Exactly.
But in an automated way.
That's right.
Okay. So that leads us to authentication and authorization.
Yes.
Can't talk about security without those.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
Strong authentication methods like multi-factor authentication or MFA are non-negotiable these days. They add that extra layer of security by requiring users to provide more than just a password.
Yeah. MFA is a must-have.
It is.
It's like having a digital bodyguard.
I like that.
That's making it way harder for hackers to break in, even if they steal your password.
That's right.
I use it for most of my accounts.
Good.
But speaking of controlling access, how does Delinea handle this concept of role-based access control?
RBAC.
Yeah, RBAC.
So Delinea integrates seamlessly with RBAC,
Okay.
which is all about granting permissions based on job roles and responsibilities. So it ensures that Users only have access to what they need
Okay.
to do their specific job.
So it's not just about individual users, it's about tailoring that access to their roles.
Yes.
And this all ties back to that idea of least privilege, distributing access.
Absolutely.
So to keep an eye on all this,
Yeah.
Delinea does session monitoring and audit logging.
Right. So think of session monitoring as a security camera for privileged activities. Delinea records and analyzes user actions, commands, system changes in real time, so it can detect any suspicious activity or policy violations.
So if something goes wrong, you can go back and see exactly what happened.
You got it. Okay, who did it and when?
That's got to be incredibly valuable for incident response.
It is. It's like having a black box for your most sensitive systems.
So Delinea provides this comprehensive approach
to security,
from preventing attacks to responding to incidents to proving compliance.
It covers all the bases.
But how does Delinea fit into an organization's existing IT infrastructure?
Right. It can't operate in a silo to maximize its effectiveness.
Yeah.
It needs to be integrated with your existing desktop management tools.
Okay.
APIs are your friend here.
Okay.
They allow for smooth coordination of tasks, like patching, configuration management, software deployment.
So it's all about making those systems talk to each other.
Exactly.
Working smarter, not harder.
That's it.
Okay, we've talked a lot about external threats.
Yeah.
But what about internal risks?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
We often focus on those external threats, but insider threats can be just as damaging.
Absolutely.
Delinea plays a vital role there, too.
Okay.
By enforcing least privilege, monitoring activities, implementing strong access controls. You're limiting the damage a rogue employee could cause.
It's sad to think about.
It is.
But it does happen.
It does.
Trust but verify.
Exactly.
And speaking of verification, I remember Bert Blevins had some interesting videos on YouTube about related topics. He even had one on OTP MFA.
Nice.
Now, I know we talked about MFA earlier.
Yeah.
Can you explain what OTP is?
Sure.
And how it differs from other types?
So OTP stands for one-time password multi-factor authentication.
Okay.
It's a specific type of MFA that requires users to enter a unique code.
Okay.
It's time sensitive.
Okay.
It's generated by an app on their smartphone or a token.
Gotcha.
It adds that extra security because even if an attacker steals your password, they can't get in without that code.
I actually use that for a lot of my accounts.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It can be a little bit of a hassle sometimes.
Sure.
But I feel a lot safer.
It's worth
knowing that it's harder for someone to break in.
Absolutely.
And Blevins didn't stop there.
No.
He also had videos on cloud security threats.
Of course.
Which is a whole other
can of worms.
Yeah, but it's really important these days.
It is.
With so much sensitive data moving to the cloud.
Cloud security is a huge topic.
Yeah.
And it's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
But Blevins does a great job of breaking it down, offering practical advice.
Yeah.
His videos on things like cloud identity discovery, resilient secrets for disaster recovery, cybersecurity best practices.
Really valuable for anyone working in the cloud.
It's like having this direct line to a cybersecurity expert who's seen it all and can guide you through all these threats and solutions.
He's been there, done that.
Yeah.
He's very passionate about sharing his knowledge and making cybersecurity accessible.
Yeah, he really does a great job.
He does.
So bringing it all back to Delinea.
Okay.
We've seen how it offers this comprehensive solution for managing endpoint privileges, strengthening security, ensuring compliance, and it's user-friendly.
It is.
It's like having a cybersecurity sidekick.
I like that.
That's always there to protect your data.
It's a powerful tool, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that technology alone isn't enough.
Right.
Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. It requires a holistic approach that includes people, processes, and technology.
That's a great point. You can have all the best tools.
But if your employees aren't trained, or your processes are flawed, you're still vulnerable.
Absolutely.
It's about creating a culture of security awareness.
It is.
Making it everyone's responsibility.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean for our listener? Here's the takeaway. Delinea's EPM gives you this robust, user-friendly way to manage those endpoint privileges, making your digital world a lot safer. But the question we want to leave you with is, in this world of ever-evolving cyber threats, how can you and your organization stay one step ahead?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
It really is.
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is. It really is.
We've talked about Delinea's strengths and how it fits into this broader security strategy.
Right.
But things change so quickly.
They do.
So what can our listener do to keep up?
Well, that's where continuous learning comes in.
Okay.
I mean, the cybersecurity world, it never stands still, right?
Yeah.
There are always new threats, new vulnerabilities popping up all the time.
Okay, so it's not just about setting up Delinea and forgetting about it.
Definitely not.
It's staying engaged.
Yes.
Learning, adapting to these new threats.
Yeah.
So are there any resources that you would recommend for someone to kind of stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah, there are a ton of great industry publications out there, security blogs, online forums, places to learn about the latest trends.
Okay.
And, you know, we've been talking about Bert Blevins.
Right, yeah.
His YouTube channel is a gold mine of information.
Yeah, his videos are really well done.
They are. He covers everything you can think of.
Yeah, from like Oath, OTP, MFA, to broader stuff like cloud security threats and best practices.
He does a great job of breaking it all down.
Yeah, it's like having a personal cybersecurity tutor.
I like that analogy.
Right in your pocket.
Exactly. So I guess the takeaway here is cybersecurity is a journey, not a destination.
Okay.
It's about constantly learning, adapting, and evolving your defenses to stay ahead of the bad guys.
So keep learning.
Yes.
The more you know, the better equipped you'll be to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
And your organization.
It's everyone's responsibility.
Yeah, it's not just IT's problem.
Nope, not anymore.
Right. Everyone has a role to play in keeping data safe.
From choosing strong passwords to being wary of phishing emails to advocating for better security measures.
Absolutely.
Every little bit helps.
So bringing it all back to Delinea, we've seen how it's this comprehensive solution.
Yes.
It strengthens security, ensures compliance, and it's user-friendly.
It is.
So this deep dive has hopefully been valuable.
I hope so.
Giving you the knowledge, the insights to make those informed decisions about your own cybersecurity journey.
Your own cybersecurity journey, exactly.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it really is the million-dollar question.
It is.
How do you stay ahead?
Right.
We talked about what Delinea does well, how it fits into a security strategy.
Right.
But the threats are always changing.
Always.
What can people do to keep up?
Well, I think continuous learning is key. The cybersecurity landscape, it's always evolving. New threats are emerging all the time.
So you can't just set it and forget it.
No, definitely not.
You got to stay engaged.
Stay engaged, absolutely.
You got to keep learning.
Keep adapting.
That's right.
Are there any resources you would recommend?
Oh, absolutely.
For folks trying to stay ahead?
There are tons of great resources out there.
Okay. Industry
publications, security blogs, online forums. Those are all great places to start.
Okay.
And, you know, we've mentioned Bert Blevins a few times.
We have, yeah. His YouTube channel is a fantastic resource.
It is. He's got a lot of great content.
He does. He covers so many different topics.
From those specific technologies like OTP, MFA, to more general concepts like cloud security.
He's got it all.
So it's a great place to start.
It is.
So the main takeaway, cybersecurity is a journey.
It is. It's a journey, not a destination.
It's not a one-time fix.
No.
It's got to be ongoing.
It's got to be ongoing. That's right.
So keep learning.
Keep learning.
Keep adapting. And stay ahead of the bad guys.
Stay ahead of the bad guys. Exactly.
And remember, cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility.
It is. It's not just for the IT folks anymore.
It's not just for the experts.
Nope.
We all have a role to play.
We all have a role to play.
In keeping our data safe.
Absolutely.
We hope you found this deep dive valuable.
I hope so, too.
We hope it gave you some insights.
Some things to think about.
Into Delinea and into endpoint security.
Endpoint security.
And into just the broader world of cybersecurity.
It's a fascinating world out there.
It is. It's complex. It is challenging.
But it's important.
But it is incredibly important.
It is.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes, thanks for having me.
And we hope to see you on the next one.